Hello and welcome back to the UiPath training. Today we'll continue our discussion about PDF automation. Now we've learned how to extract large text fragments in the previous lesson. Next, let's see how to extract a single piece of information out of an entire PDF document, or extract the same data from multiple files with the same layout. First of all, we'll be talking mostly about PDF documents that are in the most common format, native text, which means its elements are directly accessible to UiPath. If you're dealing with scanned documents, you'll see a bit later some image-based techniques that you can use. So, for normal PDFs, there are a few options for getting to the data. The first one being the well-known get text action. Now, get text is also accessible in the recorder here. Simply point to the element you're interested in and UiPath will generate the get text action and its output variable for you. Nothing more to it. And we'll display it in a message box. As it is now, this action will only get the value of this specific text element from this specific file. But let's say that you actually want to extract the total value from a series of similar PDF invoices instead of just one file. Now the get text action, like most UI interactions, uses a selector to identify the correct element and get its value. So, as you've probably guessed, we'll need to tweak it a bit to extend its scope. Now, the automatic way to do that is by using the repair feature. Since we closed the first PDF file, the selector editor shows validate in red, which means that the selector is not valid. However, we can simply click repair and point it to another similar element that should also match the current selector, and UiPath will try to fix the selector for you. In this case, it worked, but since that's not always the case, let's also manually modify it to get an idea of what that entails. A bit of a warning though, we won't go into the general aspects of selectors. I'll just explain this specific example, but I strongly encourage you to watch the selectors video detailing how they work and how to edit and debug them. They're a central part of UI automation, so better understanding them will help in many other situations. So we'll cancel this, not to save any changes, and open the selector again. This time both PDF files are open and the original selector is valid. We'll choose to open it in UI Explorer for a better view. The checked containers are the ones that actually make up the selector, so we'll focus on those. The last element has its actual value present, so we need to remove that to make it work for the other values as well. We'll also remove the title parameter to use other files too by clicking on the top level selector in the Explorer and unchecking title on the right. And through some trial and error, we found it's better to use the more unique row name attribute for this item. Then we'll just click Save, verify the selector by clicking Validate, and click OK. Now it should work for both files. It extracted the correct value from this invoice, and from the other one as well. Great. Okay, so in this lesson, we learned how to extract specific data from a PDF file. Now we've already seen how text chunks can be extracted from a PDF file, regardless of their size. Now there's also a method of extracting a fluctuating value from a series of PDF files, or invoices in our case. That is the anchor base activity. From the start, you'll notice it looks a bit different from other activities. It's made up of two actions because it performs an action in relation to another fixed element, or anchor. A typical anchor is the find element action. We'll use it to pinpoint a fixed element close to our target element, usually its name or here, credit. And the action we want to perform is to get the text. While both of these actions have associated selectors, you'll notice they're a bit simpler. The second one just needs to find its way from the anchor element, so it's only the last row of the full selector. Now it's pretty generic, so we can leave it as it is. For the anchor element, replace the fluctuating part of the file name with an asterisk and remove this row because it has no unique identifiers. The anchor base also has an optional parameter, the anchor position. Now it's used to define more clearly where to look for the data. We could leave it as it is or change it to left because that's where our anchor is in relation to the text. Okay, now this workflow should work on both of these files and any other file with the same structure. The anchor base activity is pretty flexible, which means you can use various actions inside it. For example, you can replace the find element action with a find image. The advantages are that now the structure of the PDF document is not that important anymore. What's important is just that it contains the specific indicated image anywhere in the visible document. Also, you don't have to deal with the selectors as much anymore, and because PDF files look the same on all systems, you can use find image without its usual drawbacks. But before indicating the image to look for, it's good practice to set the zoom of the document to actual size to make sure you have a complete and accurate image. Simply go to View, Zoom, and Actual Size. Then, back in UiPath, click to indicate an image. Credit in this case, and make a selection around it as an anchor. And it got it. Now this method can sometimes be more reliable than the others because it can handle even major structural changes to the document, as long as the image and data are present and in the same relationship to one another. Especially since the find image action can handle a reasonable amount of scale variation, and otherwise PDF documents are pretty stable. Another important thing to note is that these last two methods described require the PDF document to be opened, and the data you're trying to interact with must be visible. Otherwise, it will fail. So make sure that you take that into account when building the final automation. That's pretty much all for this video. The tutorials in this series should allow you to handle most of the PDF extractions that you'll be faced with. There are a couple more, such as find relative element and scrape relative, but I'll let you discover those on your own. If you're dealing a lot with scanned documents, you may want to have a look at our image-based automations video for specifics on handling images. And finally, let's quickly do a recap to make sure that everything is settled in. We started with two methods for reading larger blocks of text: read PDF text and read PDF with OCR. Now they're straightforward actions that read entire PDF documents or pages and output a string variable. Then we looked at screen scraping, which is an interactive wizard that's useful for comparing and choosing a scraping method that also generates the actions for you. And for extracting specific text elements, your first option should be the get text activity. Depending on your situation, it may or may not require some selector tweaking, but it's generally a quick and solid technique. Lastly, you experimented with the anchor base activity. Now it's used to locate a fixed element and perform an action relative to it. It's a very powerful and flexible activity. You can look for an image or element and get the data that's related to it. And that was all. Thanks for watching.